You've probably noticed more than once, while watching various videos about the object show community on YouTube, how you've stumbled across numerous videos where someone is being exposed. And in recent years, this has become a significant problem in the community. It hurt many OSC YouTubers, and the quality of object show content has also suffered. After all, many of the remaining content creators are either lazy or questionable in one way or another. This issue was even discussed in one of the videos on this topic. But today, we won't discuss it, as we have a more important topic, the underrated OSC YouTubers. It would seem that there should be a ton of videos on this topic. And I thought so too. Until I discovered that I only found 3 such videos on the entire OSC YouTube with a similar theme, none of which have even garnered 1,000 views, all of which featured Tilgent and were made a year ago. Yeah. That says a lot about our society. But that's not the point. The point is, there's an OSC YouTuber called PartDiagonal. He has just over 25,000 subscribers, and he produces fairly high-quality content for a channel with that size of audience. While he puts in the work and makes genuinely interesting and original content, PartDiagonal gets almost no popularity, unlike content creators who gain popularity without putting much effort into their videos. This is kind of paradox. Sorry for the pun. But seriously, even Cheesy Mayo has about the same number of subscribers at the time of writing the script, even though his content is good, and everyone knows about him. But almost nobody knows about PartDiagonal. And I realized that this can't go on. I needed to do a review of him so more people knew about talented OSC creators like him. So, I came to the conclusion we'll be dealing with today. I present to you a review of PartDiagonal, an underrated OSC YouTuber whose main secret to success isn't popularity. Before we begin the review, I want to briefly explain how the OSC reviews format differs from my other reviews. The essence of this format is that it will feature analyses of various OSC YouTubers, as well as the object shows themselves in general, not just specific episodes or characters. I think I've explained everything. Let's move on to the review itself. So, the first thing that catches our eye is the channel design. I have no issues with it. It's done very well for such a relatively small channel. The banner is cool and has its own design solution using empty space, which looks interesting. It's clear that PartDiagonal put some effort into the banner, unlike some others. And the profile is bright and beautiful. As for the content itself, there's plenty of scope for creativity. PartDiagonal's latest videos remind me of Hypercrystal in their presentation and concept. He used to be my favorite OSC YouTuber, but due to the drama surrounding him and leaving the community after that, he ceased to be my favorite. That's when PartDiagonal became his replacement for me. And to be honest, in some ways he was even better than Hypercrystal. But let's pretend Hypercrystal never existed, that he was never there. And let's focus on PartDiagonal alone. The first thing I want to highlight from his videos is the tutorials. It's quite commendable to see that he not only creates content about OSC but also teaches beginners the basics of creating their own object shows. Visually speaking, the guides are clear, simple, and useful, and the videos themselves are not too long. Overall, I highly recommend them to beginners who want to create their own object show and make it visually appealing but just can't get started. They even have updated versions of the guides for creating your own profile pictures and thumbnails. Speaking of which, PartDiagonal has several videos showing what BFB thumbnails would look like if he made them. I especially like the thumbnails of BFB 5, 9, 10, 11, and 16 in his style. Looking at these thumbnails, I can say they are very well done, and some of them are even better than the original, in my opinion. PartDiagonal also had a video with redrawing BFB thumbnails in the styles of various OSC YouTubers, which was cool. Unfortunately, the second part of it never came out. And it would be pretty cool if he did the same with teapot thumbnails. As for PartDiagonal's style itself, I'll say it's pretty close to BFB, which is great. But you know what? Even his old style is pretty good. I don't know why, but there's something special about this style, a certain flair, a certain charm, so to speak. And now, let's move on to something interesting. And this, interesting, is PartDiagonal's series of videos about variations of BFB characters in different forms. BFB characters, if they were gems, nicknames, drawn terribly, in real life, although I've seen something similar from Animation Object Show. Gender swap, random, Halloween, and so on. For its time, it was new, interesting, and groundbreaking, perhaps? But while these videos are interesting, they're not as memorable or standout compared to PartDiagonal's other videos. So, there's not much else to say about them. They're just cool and interesting videos. Oh, and one more thing. Does this video remind you of anything? I have a feeling I've seen something similar somewhere before, but I can't remember where. Damn, I guess I'll have to take back what I said about hypercrystal never existing. That's better. Now PartDiagonal's video has something to compare it to. And by the way, do you want a fun fact? Although hypercrystal's video with BFDI characters opposites got more views and was handled better than PartDiagonal's one, the fact is, PartDiagonal came up with this idea back in 2020. Now deal with it. Anyway, before we move on to PartDiagonal's best videos, I want to mention a few videos worthy of mention. BFB and Teapot fusions. In both parts, BFB post-split teams in winter and summer settings, Teapot contestants and teams as flags, and also if BFB characters had their own businesses, also in both parts. And the random BFB scenes are horribly drawn. Although some of them are drawn uniquely and even beautifully in their own way. Well, it's time to get to the main thing. The top 3 of the best, most original, and creative videos, in my opinion, are suddenly opened by not just one, but an entire trilogy of videos featuring alternative versions of the Teapot characters. The concept is brilliant. But the execution is just as good. Everything is well made, the alternatives themselves are interesting and suit the characters well. I especially like the alternatives of remote, pencil, basketball, cake, and foldy. I can note that the final part has some kind of editing. This makes the video more enjoyable and engaging to watch. Next on the list is a video you've likely even seen and watched. Of course, I'm talking about the video in which the Teapot teams were in the styles of different object shows. Not only is this idea very creative and unusual, but it's also handled so well that you might even believe they were always there. I especially like the strongest team on Earth in TVOS style, just not in OSO style, and the S and Paper Puppets Take 2 style was also great. This video is one of my favorites. But there is one video of PartDiagonal that especially stands out for me, and which in turn is the best in my opinion. Meet, Countries as Object Show Characters video. Let's start with the fact that the topic is really interesting. Like, seriously, where have you seen something like that? Each character presented in this video is a symbol, or what a particular country is known for, against the backdrop of its main landmark. Besides, the editing here is really good. The pace of the storytelling also pleases me. PartDiagonal tells an engaging and captivating story about each country, and also shares interesting facts about each of them. The characters themselves and their designs are perfectly chosen. And the backgrounds. Holy. They look so detailed, well-made, and beautiful. They also perfectly convey the setting of each country. Seriously, why hasn't Jack Angelify hired PartDiagonal as a background artist yet? The talent is so obvious. Besides all this, he also has his own object show named, On Thin Ice. Which is another plus of PartDiagonal. Firstly, in addition to videos about BFB and Teapot, he also has his own object show. And secondly, it's a pretty good object show that had potential. Unfortunately, this project was cancelled. But you can check it out for yourself. I'll leave a link to PartDiagonal's show and his channel in the description. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention PartDiagonal's flaws. Personally, I can only point out one major issue, the rather slow video output. But this can be attributed to the fact that high-quality content takes much longer. And besides, as far as I know, PartDiagonal is 17 to 18 years old, so he can't spend much time on his channel. So, it's time to move on to the conclusion of this video and answer the question, what is the main secret of PartDiagonal's success? So what's the conclusion? Based on the above analysis, I can say that PartDiagonal is the type of OSC YouTuber you should definitely pay attention to. Such people are rare, especially nowadays. Many people talk about the need for better content creators, but many also ignore truly creative and talented creators, leaving them in the shadows, endlessly focusing on the bad people. But until we take at least some notice of OSC content creators like PartDiagonal, the community situation will never improve. Well, in my opinion, the main secret of PartDiagonal's success is high quality and creative content on BFDI and object show topics. It also lies in PartDiagonal's responsible approach to his content, and the fact that he's controversy-free. And that's quite an achievement nowadays. He didn't act stupidly, didn't interfere where it wasn't needed, and simply quietly and calmly made videos without any complaints. Unlike those 3 OSC YouTubers. They should clearly learn from PartDiagonal and follow his example. Yeah, that's his whole secret. It's so simple, isn't it? PartDiagonal is an underrated OSC content creator who deserves much more attention than he currently receives. He's my favorite OSC YouTuber right now, even a replacement for Hypercrystal. I'm really sad that almost no one talks about him now. I really hope that in the future, he will become much more popular and become a good role model for many. Otherwise, I give his channel an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks to everyone who watched this video to the end, because that lets me know you appreciate the effort I put into it. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Just Author 41 was with you. And that's all. Until next time.